Is gold in the process of being demonetized by Bitcoin? This is a question that I find far more fascinating to consider than looking at the fiat performance of Bitcoin. And I say that as we approach new all time highs in the fiat price of Bitcoin. I'm not concerned about that. Gold is far more interesting in relation to Bitcoin for me because gold has been the premier monetary store of value for 5,000 years. And if it is in the process of being demonetized, if that is in fact occurring, then Bitcoin truly is one of the most precious opportunities in the history of humanity for the common person to be able to take advantage of. Particularly because the common person is able to take advantage of it before the elites, before the institutions, before the governments. If Bitcoin is stealing or siphoning or extracting value from gold, then that alone, that value accrual mechanism alone, is enough to justify going all in on Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin is not even what is its market cap right now? 1.5 trillion, approaching 2 trillion. What is the market cap of gold? 10 trillion. So if on that basis alone, if gold is being demonetized, if the monetary value that is being stored in gold presently is slowly but surely being siphoned away and transferred into Bitcoin, then we're still looking at a fantastic investment opportunity because Bitcoin isn't even $2 trillion. Bitcoin isn't even a fifth of the value of the monetary network known as gold. So on that basis alone, that's ignoring fiat currency. That is ignoring other assets like stocks and real estate, which have been monetized in their own way. There is so much capital and savings tied up in stocks and real estate, specifically just to have a protection against inflation. These assets are not money, but they are being used like money, just to shield from the eroding effects of inflation. And I think that what we are seeing, and we will see in the coming years and decades, is a shift of capital away from using these assets as stores of value into money. Into that is what money is supposed to be, is just that stable store of value, a long-term store of value. And I think a lot of money that's in stocks and real estate right now is only there for that reason. And it would be in money if there was a monetary system like Bitcoin that was available. And now there is. But the question here in this video is specifically targeted at gold, because here is why we need to analyze this question. If our hypothesis regarding fiat currency and the inevitable decline of that system, the inevitable collapse of that system, the inevitable flood of energy and capital out of that system into a new one, if that hypothesis is true, and I think if you're listening to this video, you probably are at least favorable to that thesis. If that is true, why do we assume? Why do we make the argument? Why do we make the decision to invest in Bitcoin and not gold? Because why wouldn't capital that is fleeing a crumbling fiat system, why wouldn't it go to gold? Gold has been around for 5,000 years. It's been trusted as hard money for all of human history, essentially. For the history of civilization, at least. So, how can I make this claim that Bitcoin is demonetizing gold? It's almost ludicrous. And yet, I think that is exactly what is happening. We need to establish why I think that Bitcoin is going to be the chosen monetary store of value for humanity in the coming years and decades rather than gold. Essentially, why do I think gold is being demonetized? Because if we don't establish this, then all the arguments about why we invest in Bitcoin are for naught. Because if that capital ultimately chooses gold as the premier store of value, if it chooses gold as a flight to safety, if it chooses gold as the safe haven from a crumbling and collapsing fiat currency system, if we choose the wrong asset, it doesn't matter if we were right about the outcome. If it doesn't matter if we were right about betting against the legacy financial system, betting against fiat and fractional reserve banking. If we bet against all this, we bet that it is going to fail, but we get the wrong asset to bet on, then what did it matter? If gold is the premier store of value that humanity turns to, and not Bitcoin, then none of that mattered. So we have to get this correct. Of course, on the flip side, if you hold gold, this applies to you as well. If you hold gold as a hedge against the failure of the legacy financial system, and you refuse to research Bitcoin, well, all of this applies to you too, because you could be right about the outcome and wrong about what you bet on. You could have bet on the wrong horse even if you knew the one that was going to lose, right? So we have to get this right. Now, I have already made a video in which I shared one anecdotal experience which really demonstrated to me the shortcomings of gold, and that's when I transported some gold from Singapore to North America, and it was just abysmal. Just on a technical level, the utility of Bitcoin compared to gold is just incomparable. Gold does not even begin to measure up to the utility of Bitcoin. As far as the technology of money goes, Bitcoin is the next stage in money's evolution. It took 5,000 to 7,000 years to go from one to another, and perhaps you could see the fiat currency system as being an intermediary in that transition on a grand scale. There is gold. Gold kind of evolved into fiat. That's an interesting topic to look at. Fiat is actually a result of gold's failures as a monetary technology, because gold is very difficult to transport and settle. It is very difficult to handle and to carry around, and therefore it was only natural that gold was simply held in vaults and that paper receipts for it were used in lieu of actually carrying around gold. The failures of gold as a monetary technology actually resulted in fiat, because fiat was so much more extensible. It's so much more malleable and there's more utility, especially once you get into the digital age and you can start sending digital dollars. And so gold's failures led to fiat, but of course, fiat as a technology, there's a lot of things that it solves, but of course, it compromises the core monetary values. Ultimately, fiat completely decoupled from gold at all, and it just became its own monetary technology, but one that was without that tether to real money, without that connection to gold. Fiat just became totally corrupted, even though technologically it has more utility than gold. Becoming disconnected from the monetary base layer of gold allowed fiat to become absolutely corrupted. It led to its moral degeneration, and therefore there's a way in which we can look at gold was an evolution in money that occurred over a period of thousands of years. Fiat currency came along in this little brief span where we've had fiat currency across the entire world with no backing against gold for several decades. In a blink of an eye, in terms of world history, a blink of an eye is what this fiat currency system has been. But it's as if this fiat currency system is there's a metamorphosis that is occurring. We are on the other side of this. There's going to be the death of one system and the birth of another. And in this brief little span of human history, we're going to come on the other side, and I think it's not going to be gold that we go back to. We are not going back. We are going forward. So I think looking at gold versus Bitcoin just in this way, the utility of money, Bitcoin absolutely wins. Now, of course, using this argument, the danger is that anyone with an altcoin that has, how many altcoins are out there that claim to be faster than Bitcoin, and that Bitcoin is old tech. So if you use this argument, of course, you're going to have these 100, 1,000 other competitors that claim to be faster, but they are faster in the sense that MasterCard can be faster at settling than the base layer of Bitcoin. But does MasterCard have the monetary properties that Bitcoin does? No. Does the fiat system, is it faster at settling Bitcoin? Yes. But the problem is it doesn't have the monetary, it doesn't have a tether to a strong monetary hard money policy. That's the issue. And all of these altcoins, they do not have that property of money that is required at the base layer. But that's a topic for another video. This is about gold. So I think what happens is we are transitioning from using money as humanity for 5,000 years, but now we're in the age of interconnectivity and the internet, and we need a new money. And fiat is not the answer. Fiat is simply the transition period between one form of real money and a new form of real money for humanity. And on the other side of it, I think we're going to have a money that is suitable for a world that is interconnected digitally. My experience sending gold across the world and having that torn up package, and it was held at customs for days. It took 2 weeks for me to get custody. Insane counterparty risk. This is not gold is not working as money in the digital age. It's not. It simply is not. And I think this is one of the main reasons why I think Bitcoin is gaining market share on gold.